All right. Pound that like button, Ken. All right, let's do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into crushthestreet.com. I am Kenneth Ameduri, and we're joined today with a returning guest, really our top Bitcoin commentator, Bitcoin enthusiast, someone who's just really been spot on in his calls on Bitcoin and in this current environment where we haven't seen, once it hit $60,000 Bitcoin, it's, now it's starting to take a breather. And those that just got in, I think, are getting a little bit worried. And we're going to talk about all of that, all things crypto, all things Bitcoin and life. Adam, thanks for coming on the show with me today.
Thanks for having me back. And yeah, those newbies, they are worried because they have weak hands. They got to go through the gauntlet like we have. Oh, yeah. My hand is strong as ever, though.
Yeah, it's an interesting time, and we've seen it time and time again. But this was a lot more mainstream, if you will. It sucked a lot more people in that would have never have touched crypto back in 2017 when it was still a more of a fringe type of investment, if you will. Whereas in 2020, I mean, it became very popularized. I mean, people that I would have never thought would have been interested are like, I'm kind of worried about inflation and, it seems like a good hedge and, I should park some of my money into it. But of course they were doing that, when Dogecoin was going way up and Bitcoin was hitting 60,000. And so seeing it go down by, 50%, doesn't feel like an inflation hedge to people. It's a real learning process to experience the volatility and the craziness that's happening in this market.
Well, the people who worship Elon Musk didn't get into this for it as an inflation hedge in the first place. I mean, they got in it because it was trendy. They heard, hey, it's just like Wall Street bets. You can make a lot of money real quick. And you could keep it here at Robinhood. You could do everything that you do at Robinhood with the Wall Street bets you could do with this crypto stuff. What's the difference between Dogecoin and Bitcoin? I mean, they're welcome here. You're absolutely right, though. Mainstream has picked up on it a lot more this time than last time, which is a good sign. But, of course, the opposite end with things, when we have these corrections, the mainstream pounds away at cryptocurrency like never before, especially Bitcoin. I mean, the narratives that are out there now, I could never have imagined, back in the day, killing the environment, you're a traitor to the United States if you like it. I mean, you hear it all, and it's throughout the mainstream media. And when you put it in perspective, back in 2016, there weren't any mainstream media articles about Bitcoin. So yes, a lot of people are hearing about it that never would have heard about it. A lot of people got into it that never heard about it the last time. So it's pretty wild, to say the least.
So let's talk about that a little bit. So getting to 30,000 is pretty epic. I mean, I think people would have been pretty happy if we would have said this was going to happen over a year ago, and man, we're here. And it's taken that mainstream and that speculation for it to take it to these levels. Maybe, give Elon Musk a little bit of a credit for doing what he did and popularizing it. But I'm just curious, without the mainstream maybe fully embracing it, maybe the mainstream says, hey, you know what? We're not going to accept Bitcoin as the true cryptocurrency because we believe it to be harmful to the environment. I think that was significant news when Elon Musk, kind of backpedaled a little bit on that. And that might play into it developing the way, we might all want it to develop. I'm not sure. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's definitely causing turbulence. I wouldn't say, I will agree with you 100% when you said a year ago, we would be going wild if you said Bitcoin will be worth $30,000. Because a year ago, it was worth less than $10,000. And even at the end of this, end of 2020, we had not reached 30,000. We reached it at the beginning, or at the very end, we reached it. It was around the turn of the year, okay? But Elon Musk and some of this mainstream these mainstream people, they brought it to 64 basically. And so when he fudded it, when he said what he said about it, that the Tesla wasn't selling it anymore, yeah, of
immature,
course,
right? Seemed immature for the richest guy on earth to say that, right?
He is a unique dude. I don't know what the logic was. that he and the Dogecoin pumping, but coupled with his announcement, there was that China is making Bitcoin illegal again, banning Bitcoin, which we've heard year after year after year. It was just a combination of the perfect storm of FUD. Okay, so you're asking, in the long run, though, can that stifle Bitcoin? Is that going to hurt Bitcoin that the mainstream has picked up on? You know, China has banned it, and that it's not good for the environment, and Tesla isn't selling it, and Elon isn't as big of a fan. No, Bitcoin does not care. We as individual, as people in the space, too many people put all of these stories on pedestals. Too many people put Elon Musk on pedestals. These stories come and go. We've seen it before. There was going to be a guy that was worshipped that quote unquote backstab Bitcoin. It happened last time with Roger Ver in 2017. It's going to happen again. There'll be bigger names that say bad things about Bitcoin. Okay, and it's part of the process of going up, that there are going to be these corrections based on egos and people panicking. There's no reason. All the stories that I just mentioned, there's no reason to sell because of that. Is that going to make Bitcoin worth less in 4 years? No, it is not. It is not going to change the fact that there's going to be a halving in 2024 and a halving in 2020. The fundamentals are all the same, but this is a market. This is a free market. You have to deal with everything that's being fed into the free market, and a lot of people aren't used to some of these aspects of what's being fed into the free market. But it won't. I mean, people will. It will help shape narratives. I will say that. But the narratives will be overcome. It's not going to. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin, and they are welcome to. And when I say they, all the haters of Bitcoin are welcome to point out what they believe are flaws, and they can rip on it but when it comes down to it, then make your own Bitcoin, then fork it off, okay? Then fork it off and see who wins. And that's what happened with Roger Ver last time with Bcash, and we clearly see who won that. So I've been talking about this for a while. I think there might be an environmentally friendly green Bitcoin that one of these people come up with, or a KYC Bitcoin that doesn't deal with terrorist regimes, or one that's only mined in the United States for patriotic reasons. Who knows what you could create any type of cryptocurrency, fork it off from Bitcoin that fits these narratives. So let them do that. Let us get it for free, and then let us sell it for Bitcoin, and it will fail just like Bcash.
Yeah. Well, let's. I'd like to get your thoughts on this idea. Bitcoin in 2011, small, early stage. 2013, small, early stage. 2016, 2017, and we're arguably, we're still early stage. But at some point, we get to some critical mass of equilibrium in the world where it's just priced at what it's priced at, and it moves like, we'll call it, Apple or a stock that just kind of goes year by year with inflation and new capital. But we have all this early stage growth happening in Bitcoin, and at some point, you just don't have that early stage move anymore. You just don't have that much capital. But what I'm trying to understand is, with all of this mainstream adoption that so-called happened with the 2020 move into 2021, how much more can it go up before it is dependent on that mainstream acceptance, and would be potentially hurt by an environmentally cry against it? You know what I mean? Like that I'm just curious, like, how much more can Bitcoin go up before it hits that equilibrium, in your opinion?
You're correct. It is still early, but it's not super early anymore. That is when we passed super early when Michael Saylor announced that MicroStrategy was buying Bitcoin for its treasuries, okay? And that was back in September, August of 2020. That was a big turning point. And so we've had this institutional money come in from other institutions, other companies, and that's going to keep on happening for a while, until a point when countries will start to announce that they are buying Bitcoin, okay? But until we really have a lot of companies with it in their treasuries, and a lot of countries with it in its as a reserve in their treasuries, there is going to be insane turbulence. So when is the price going to be totally stable and not this crazy? I have always said it's going to, at least after the 2024 halving. But I mean, we might have to wait until after the 2028 halving. So when that happens, and it is a very stable currency, and many countries have it in its reserve, and large amount of people are transacting in it, and many companies have it in their reserve also. Then the question is, will environmental FUD affect the price as drastically? And I think when it is that universally accepted that there will be a much better understanding of it, that will be able to evaluate the FUD, and it will not have such a profound effect as it is had now. And it will, maybe they'll come up with they won't come up with something better than environmental FUD that will actually take Bitcoin out. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin, but people will continue to try to create other Bitcoins, other cryptocurrencies. No one can stop it. And I think when we do get to that, whatever year you want to say, post 2028, stable, one Bitcoin equals $1 million, or whatever it's going to be, that's not going to change very much. That it will just be like holding a stock in terms of news. It will affect it a bit, but it won't crash it. Okay.
It's bit more predictability in that sense because of the amount of people that own it and are holding it, and just the amount of capital that's involved in it.
And understand it to get to the level where Bitcoin is going to be a very solid fiat price. There's going to have to be a lot of education and learning anyway for all those people to accept it. So I think at that point it won't be rocked as much by any, whether it be an environmental challenger or anything out there.
Yeah. Well, good point. And so talking about that, one thing that really fascinates me, I know a lot of people were asking, hey, about this run up that we saw. And, obviously a lot of people texting me that knew I was involved with Bitcoin and own it. And, it just made me cringe telling people to buy it when it was 50,000, 55,000, 60,000. It was just in that bull market phase. And now we're to the point where it's like, okay, now we got a real pullback. And the reason I would say I was expecting a pullback is because you get into that bull market euphoric environment where everyone just thinks it's going to go higher. And then they tell themselves, like you're saying, which I know you have actually lived through this, and you do what you preach, but that is, they say they're going to hold on to it. I'm a long-term believer. I bought for 60,000. It's at 50. I'm just, I'm going to buy more, but they haven't done it for very long. And those that said they would never sell at 50, as they see it just have a hard time go past 40 and go below 35,000 again. They're like, I'm holding. And then all of a sudden those people that, were never going to sell at 50 are happy sellers at $35,000. Right. And that's why these bear markets take time, is because it has to flush out the weak hands, as you call them. And it takes time to do that because people get tired. They're like, now I'm just happy to get my money back. And it has that downward pressure. And then, that's why you see all these technical analysis saying, hey, maybe it's going to 20,000 because that's just technical analysis is just, what people are doing. Although I don't put too much weight into it because I think a lot of people have been technical analysis out of Bitcoin as too many times before. But, I wonder how long this bear market is going to go on until it turns around.
It's not a bear market. That's one of the things that I'm saying. It is not a bear. We're still in a bull market. We're having a correction in the middle of a bull market. This exact same thing happened in the 2013 one, okay? It pumped up, then it dumped for a while, and then woo, it went even wilder. And what these weak hands have to know is that Bitcoin has always returned to its all-time high. So there are plenty of people, you discussed the psychology of dumping right there. There are some people that when it got to 64, and they said, oh, no, we're going to hold on forever, when it got down to 57 or 52, and then they started believing it's never getting to 64 again, because they haven't lived through this before. There are people out there that are saying it will never return to whatever it got to, 63 or 64, that it will never return there again. They have not lived through what I lived through in 2013, where it got to 1100, and people said it will never return to 1100 again. And people sold like crazy at 700, 600, 500, 400, 300, 200, because they generally believe that. They didn't yet. And then Bitcoin got to 20,000 in 2017. Some people didn't see what happened previously. And there were plenty of people said it will never get to $20,000 again. And they sold all the way down, just like you said. So there are so many people, naive people, that do not understand. It always returns to its fiat all-time high. How they don't understand this, when everyone and their mother is printing money, every country. It is unbelievable, the spending of the United States of America, the money printing that's going on, all the proposals that are out there, the inflation that we can already see. How people do not can't fathom that how they would want to sell now is beyond comprehension. And they have no perspective at all. That in the history of Bitcoin, it had never reached $32,000 until December or January of this year. And they think it's the end of the freaking world, and that it will never return to 64 again. Yes, the price got cut in half from the high that it experienced 2 months ago. Welcome to Bitcoin, dudes. Well, welcome to Bitcoin. What can I say?
Yeah. Well, so you are in Baltimore at the moment. You're heading to California for the first time. Tell us a little bit about that. And just, I know you were living in Miami for much of this. Good for you. How has your life been since the start of this pandemic until now, or whatever you want to call it? Well, pandemic. That seems to be the mainstream.
Yeah, I've been to California before. Just want to clear. I mean, it's my return to California for the first time since this nonsense all started. So how has my life been since March of 2020? It has been awesome. Best financial year of my life. When all those people were panicking on March the 13th of 2020, selling Bitcoin all the way to below 4,000, and you can see the tweets that prove it. I bought 2 Bitcoin for a total of $10,000. And of course, those 2 Bitcoin are worth a lot more now. But that's not the only thing I did. I didn't sell a darn thing. So I'm in incredible financial shape. It has been amazing, a study of psychology, to see how panic-stricken people became financially, health-wise, in every aspect of their lives. And what strong hand really means. Strong hand means to be a strong hand financially. It means to be a strong hand psychology, is in your head, to be a strong hand in terms of health. I've continued running every single day, being as much of a health freak as I was before in terms of eating well and fasting, and this stuff hasn't scared me. It hasn't. I've been on many a plane, many a gathering, and I have gone places, because everyone knows I don't live anywhere. I just go from one Airbnb to another. I live this lifestyle, and I chose the places that were the most free, as I thought. And so Miami was an incredible experience. I was at the the Bitcoin conference just a few weeks ago, meeting people, hugging people that have been on my show in real life. I got to hear the El Salvador announcement in person and got to see everyone's reaction that El Salvador has Bitcoin as legal tender now. It's been fun. It's been a great year. And every year you should try to make better and keep on innovating. And I have been in motion. I just don't preach. I just don't use that as a saying. Don't be a tree, be in motion. I am in motion. And I've seen the United States during the last year. So unfortunately, it started in California, so I got to see the lockdowns in Los Angeles. But most of my recent months have been in either Nashville or in Miami, which are free, awesome places. So I just encourage everyone to keep up a positive attitude. Those of us who kept up a positive attitude and didn't panic and had strong hands are, we're doing really well financially, really well financially.
Good for you, buddy. Well, look, this is a time we're recording this interview right now, and Bitcoin's about $32,000. So, I mean, it's on sale, if you ask me. I do believe it's going higher. I do believe it's going much higher, but I just don't believe in the way that people bought into it. You know, FOMOing into Bitcoin at $50,000, $60,000. I don't like that. I don't like that as an investment strategy. I don't think that's good in anything you do. I don't think you should be FOMOing into Dogecoin. And maybe you get your thoughts on that. FOMOing into Dogecoin.
Well, it's a trendy. People act in herd mentality. It's totally herd mentality. People who just saw it going up and the unit bias, they say, well, it's only 20 cents, 30 cents. And Bitcoin is $50,000. It's so cheap. I can't buy a whole Bitcoin. I can buy tons of Dogecoin, and maybe it can be $50,000 one day. So I'm just getting in early, and it makes, there's no logic behind it. They don't know what it is. They don't know that there are no developers. Elon Musk made it legitimate though, because he's one of the richest man on earth. So that was something we could never have predicted. But I will say this, Dogecoin's economic policy is totally, just print as much as you want. I mean, it resembles the United States dollar in a way. But with Bitcoin, you say people FOMOing in at 50,000, 56,000, 60,000. What you mean by that, I assume, is just people blindly buying Bitcoin, just thinking it's going up forever, and I'm going to be able to make a quick profit off this thing because it's just, when's it going to stop? I'll sell it in 6 months and I'll double my money. No, it is not a good strategy to have that type of short-term thinking. If you're FOMOing into Bitcoin because you're excited, you heard about this new store of value that the new supply gets cut in half every 4 years, and you're treating it as a savings account where you tell yourself, I am not going to touch this thing for 4 years. Now, what I'm describing is like hardly anybody, of course, but that's the way people should think. If you bought it at $64,000 and you thought this is a savings account and in 4 years it's going to be more, then you were smart, because in 4 years it is going to be worth more. Because the rule is, the 210,000 block theory is, and this is true, you could take any point in time, add 210,000 blocks to it, which is roughly 4 years, and it's always worth more 4 years later. So you subtract whatever today's date is, 4 years. 4 years ago, it's worth more than it was 4 years ago. So 4 years from today, it should be worth more. And 4 years from the day you paid $64,000 for it, it should be worth more, because that is the trend and it has never been broken yet. So if people are feeling bad, thinking, I bought it as a store of value, it was supposed to be a savings account, and now it looks so horrible. It is your savings account, dude. It is. You're on the right track. Just live through a 4-year cycle and you will understand it fully.
Yeah. Good words there. And a good reminder. It was a perfect timing to have you on the show. Adam, if people want to learn more about you, what you're doing, where you're going maybe, and to, meet you at one of your events, let them know where they can go and what they can expect to find.
Yes, the epicenter of the BitcoinMeister universe is at TechBalt. TechBalt on Twitter. That's like Technology Baltimore. That's where I'm from, Baltimore originally. You can hear my lovely Baltimore accent. TechBalt on Twitter. And then on YouTube, my show, you can go to disruptmeister.com. It lists all like 2,000 shows I've ever been on and hosted. Or you can just type in BitcoinMeister on YouTube, or type in Adam Meister on YouTube. And the very easy ways to find me, just like that.
All right, Adam. Well, good luck with your travels and what you're doing. And again, thank you. A lot of gratitude for you coming on the show and just sharing your wisdom with us and encouraging people who may be a little bit discouraged in this environment. So lots of love.
All right. Strong hand, people. Pound that like button. Thank you so much.